celebrate life. Welcome, welcome all. Thank you for coming out tonight. And so tonight, what I offer to you is this: some stories about celebrating life and this incredible journey I've managed to take over the years. A journey with much failure, disappointments, and yet ultimately coming back is finding what is my passion, my joy, and all the incarnations that I've done as a teacher, nurse, homeopath, college teacher, handyman, professional hobo, wanderer. I take all of these stories, the stories of hope, of courage, people I've met, maybe even some of the stories tonight, and bringing them together. Stories of meeting incredible people, stories of meeting ordinary folks, folks with such strength and kindness and character. It's a story, I think, as I've been working on this, is the ordinary moments of life, the ordinary moments of kindness, courage, love. That's the difference, I think, in celebrate life is, life can be tough, life can be painful, but ultimately it's finding that courage to make the difference. It's important in life, I think you know this, is asking for what you want. So here's a funny story. I'm there on my computer and I'm trying to get tech support, and I reach tech support, and the gal there is absolutely wonderful, and I can tell by her accent that she's from the Philippines. And she's helping me figure out my computer. And she knew everything, and she was helping me with things that I didn't even realize that I knew about my computer. And suddenly, my computer is humming and roaring, and it's like a Shelby Mustang in fourth gear and zooming. I thought, damn, this woman is great. And finally she said, will there be anything else? You know what I would really like? And she said, yes. I said, I would like world peace. And without pause, she said, yes, sir, let me check in my system. And I'm thinking, man, maybe she's the person with world peace. But alas, she said, I'm sorry, sir. I can't seem to find it here, but let me give you to my supervisor. And after a few minutes, her supervisor comes on the phone. When she said, and what is it, sir? And I said, world peace. And she said, let me check in my system. And again, after a few minutes, she said, I'm sorry, sir, but I don't seem to see it here in my system. But if you give me your name, your telephone number, and your email address, as soon as I have it, I'll let you know. Wow. So now when somebody asks me, will there be anything else? I always say, yes, world peace. Ask for what you want. Friends, we've gotten to know each other a little bit this evening, and if I can be a little bit personal right now, I've reached that delicate stage in life, and you look at me and it's like, man, don't I look like the robustness of health? But even I need a little help, if you understand what I mean. All of us. Now, I told this story before about when I was a homeopathic physician. I get a call on a Sunday afternoon, and it's a patient. And I even remember his name when I've forgotten most other things. And he says, Doc, I need an emergency prescription. Viagra. This 25-year-old man called me from Baltimore and started to explain about how he met this woman. Okay, just this once. An emergency prescription for Viagra, if you can imagine. But on the other hand, I remember a friend of mine by the name of Fred who came to me one day, and he's about 85, and he said, I found love again. Oh, really, Fred? And what's going on? He said, can you write me a prescription for Viagra? And I said, no problem. And then he went to pay for his office visit, and I said, Fred, this one's on me. Yes. So, Viva Viagra. Do I begrudge that little blue pill who anoints us with a glorious thrill? In youth, aren't we all stallions wearing virility like medallions? Or is this the legend we do tell of rising expectations to swell? Myth, fable, fantasy, all aside, and even our noble male pride, when the thrill and wink of love like an astonished blessing from above, it heralds faltering dreams below, despite the virility we try to sow. Try as we might, try as we will, all really just ain't up to the thrill. So I do not begrudge that blue pill who keeps the flag flying on the hill. And remember, in this time of transition in life, sometimes it's worth and nice to have a little friend to giving you a helping hand. Viva Viagra. Viva Viagra. Celebrate life. This story in particular I was touched by. It's called The Blessing of George. I'm originally from New York City in the South Bronx. A pretty rough neighborhood, but in the wisdom we managed to get out of there for a little bit. But it's still a beautiful neighborhood. But this is a story about one day I'm on 23rd Street in the FDR Drive. And of course, when I'm in the city, being the savvy person that I am, I take all my tools out of the car. And couldn't turn the car on. So I walked across the street to a garage and no one had tools, and somebody was willing to sell me a set of jumper cables. But how would I start it? A young Ghanaian man walked by and said, "Yeah, man, I help you." I said, "That's good." So he walked over and tried to start my car. Didn't work. And he said, we could take your battery out and go down the street and exchange it for another one. And I thought, wow, this guy is being pretty nice. So I said, it sounds like a good idea, but he didn't have the right tools either. So the two of us are working together. This wonderful young Ghanaian guy in the middle of New York City and me. He opens up his trunk and I see that he has a guitar and also a tennis racket. I'm a tennis fan. I play tennis all the time. So suddenly, instead of it being just these two guys from apparently different worlds, it's the two of us coming together for one moment. So we go up to 14th Street or down, and then trying to get a battery for my car. And finally, with much difficulty, we bring it back, get it in the car, and then the car starts. Wow, high fives all around. And it was a sense of, wow, we were able to come together, two different folks coming together to find for this one task. And at the end, I gave him my card and I took out like $60, $80, all the money I had. And he said, 20 would be just fine, just 20. And I figured in New York City, man, this would have cost me. I was able to set aside all those reservations. And it was just him and I. And I said, but when you can, come up to Vermont. Here's my card. Come on up to Vermont. And we shook hands and hugged. And I always remember this, the blessing of George. And I say the blessing was that the two of us, him and I, could kind of hang up and put aside whatever differences or expectations or thoughts of who we might be and just be two people coming together. That is the blessing of George. But the blessing of George goes on. I wrote an article about this in my local newspaper, and all these people started writing letters. One gal said, if George, when he comes to town, I want him to have this massage for free. That's it. That's the blessing of George, the kindness of strangers. Venice Beach in California. You remember this. Now, Venice, a lot of us have seen stories about this. It is one of the maddest, craziest, most wonderful places on the globe. But on Venice Beach, I was with my little niece. And my niece says, "Would you buy me some ice cream?" Of course, 4 years old. Now, you know how charming children are at that age in life. I bought her an ice cream cone and a yogurt for myself. And you can see that smile on her face. She just slurped it right on down. Yes, and finished it. And even with ice cream dripping down her chin, she said, "Can I have a taste of yours?" And I said, "Of course you can, dear." And I gave her my ice cream. And then I watched her begin to devour it. "Excuse me, Nikki, you ready?" And she looked up at me with these gorgeous brown eyes and said in the most innocent of voice, "I can't give it back to you. I have a a cough." Ah, my niece, an aspiring con artist. And now, years later, she says she has little recollection of it, and she's turned out to be a fine and wonderful young lady. But I remember that moment there on Venice Beach with my aspiring con artist. I try to make this as a, life with all that craziness, absurdity, whatnot that makes life, all the madness that will just simply drive you crazy. Put this together and I say, celebrate life. Celebrate life in all the way that it comes. The pain, the sorrow, the loss, the questions, the enigmas, the madness, the insanity, and even the politics. Take all of that together. Whoosh, celebrate life. Celebrate every moment of it. With friends, loves, kids, family, however it goes, what gives you heart, strength, courage, joy. Isn't that what it's really all about? Celebrate life. Yes, celebrate life in all the ways that it comes. Celebrate life.